Want to know the most effective way to improve in your martial art? In this video I'll show you how you can become a more effective martial artist in less than 2 months. Why working hard on all elements of your martial art is a big mistake made by many. What professional martial artists do that give them the edge over amateurs, and why the pros do the same sort of training no matter which martial art they practice. I'm going to ask you a question that 90% of martial artists get wrong. Are you ready? What does every martial art have in common? Whether it's a grappling art or a punching and kicking art, they all have one thing in common. Do you know what it is? It's the human body. The body of the martial artists themselves and the body of the target. In this video we will show you how you can improve the function of your body to enhance your martial arts performance, and the key is to work smarter, not harder. I'm going to let you in on a big secret over the next few frames, and I want to make sure that you pay attention. Are you ready? What is the weakest link in your power chain? Because let's face it, we're not all created equal. The weakest link determines the failure strength of the whole chain. In this illustration, it's obvious that if we applied weight to either end, the link that's going to go first is the one in the middle. For this analogy, let's assign attributes to each of the links from martial arts. We have strength, conditioning, flexibility, speed, and fitness. And as you can see here, flexibility is the weak link. But what does that mean? Poor flexibility would mean that you will not be able to effectively apply your strength. You may have a strong kick, but if you can't reach their head, you're not going to kick them in the head very well. It will affect your conditioning, mainly in the training phases. It will affect your speed, because if you're not flexible, you won't be able to achieve the speed that you could if you were flexible. And equally, it's going to affect your fitness. You'll be working harder all the time to make up for the lack of flexibility, and that will erode your fitness. But it may not be flexibility that is your problem. So, what if it was fitness that's the weakest link? This is a little more obvious. It doesn't matter how much your strength, conditioning, speed or flexibility is. If you're in the ring for a couple of rounds and you don't have the fitness, you're not going to win the fight. So why am I showing you this? Well, most people train as if their links in the chain were perfectly even or equal. They work on everything equally, regardless of their strengths and weaknesses. This is simply inefficient. Why waste your time improving links that are already effective? Spend your time on the links that are holding you back. So in our previous analogy, we had flexibility as the weak link. This is eroding any benefits I'd get from getting more strength. I could improve my strength, but if I can't reach my target, then that additional strength is a waste of time. And equally the same with all the others. So what do? You focus on your weakest link. Focusing on your weakest link until it is no longer your weakest link. Now here's the kicker. There's always a weakest link. But if you always work on the weakest link and bring it up to speed from the others, you will get better quicker. It's a much more effective and efficient training model towards becoming a more effective martial artist. We have identified several physical attributes that determine whether a martial artist can use their body to maximum effectiveness. These attributes are strength, flexibility, conditioning, speed, and fitness. And we believe that these are true for all martial artists, which is why we call these the 5 rings of power. Let's start with strength. What we're talking about here is functional strength. That is simply strength for a particular purpose. In our case, the purpose is to give power to your techniques, whether these techniques be wrestling and grappling techniques or percussive punching and kicking techniques. It's important to note we're not talking about bodybuilding when we're talking about building strength. Bodybuilders train the way they train in order to make their muscles appear bigger. In most cases, bodybuilders' muscles are tight and cramped, and we need something more loose and elastic for combat and with more endurance. So How do we do this? We're going to be using ancient Indian exercises that you may not have come across, but have been proven for thousands of years. We'll also be using the latest in modern TRX training, and we'll talk a little bit more about that shortly. What else? Flexibility. For flexibility, we're using proven training from some of the Eastern Bloc countries famed for their gymnasts and other flexible sports. We'll be using dynamic stretching and to avoid injuries when you hit the mat, enter the ring, or just simply train in your club or dojo. And we'll be using physiological science to improve your body alignment and improve the range of motion. Conditioning is our next ring of fitness. What is conditioning? Well, simply it's being able to take a hit. Now, there are two forms of conditioning training. There's mental and physical. And for the 5 Rings of Power program, we're going to focus on physical. And how are we going to do that? Well, we're going to be using some more of those ancient exercises for combat conditioning, which have been proven over thousands of years. But in a newer twist, we're going to also use state-of-the-art TRX training for core conditioning, those all-important stomach muscles, because our mission is to keep you standing on your feet longer than your opponent. The next ring of power is speed. Many techniques rely upon speed. So we're going to be using plyometric training for fast twitch muscle activation. And because speed is only as good as your balance, we're going to be using balance exercises to ensure that you can use that speed effectively. Speed without balance dissipates your power. It doesn't translate the power into your opponent. And finally, we have fitness, because you don't want to run in a puff before your opponent does. In order to improve your fitness, we'll be using exercises that improve aerobic and cardiovascular fitness at the same time as working on the other rings. And we're going to have group training sessions that will challenge you. So there you have it, the 5 Rings of Power. They are interdependent, and they are strength, flexibility, conditioning, speed, and fitness. Because power is the sum of these parts. The 5 Rings of Power uses state-of-the-art martial arts training techniques. But don't take our word for it. Look at what these guys have to say about the TRX training device. So let's look at the 5 Rings of Power program. The first thing we do is assess your strengths and weaknesses, and we assess these against your style or form of martial art. We do this so that we can tailor the program to optimize your results. The program includes daily training exercises and twice weekly group sessions to motivate and challenge you. 6 weeks to a newly effective you. Final assessment is there to measure your improvement using the 5 Rings of Power program. So, do you want to be a more effective martial artist in less than 2 months? For availability of the 5 Rings of Power program in your area, go to www.5ringsofpower.com.